See like this kind of younger and maybe more inexperienced Galadriel and just see kind of how how we see through the rings of power, like how the experiences will shape her.
I want to know whose the hand was at the end.
So episode 1 of Rings of Power.
Perhaps we would be wise to camp here, and tomorrow begin the journey home.
We are losing the light.
The show introduces her as kind of more like a newer elf, like she feels new, and we see her running around with other elves into ice caves, and Galadriel is like angry at them for like kind of unknown reasons, like they want to go back, and she's like, fuck you, no you're not. I guess the show also implies that Galadriel leaves behind a bunch of people, although like there's 9 of them in this scene, and then suddenly there's 7 here. Unclear if Galadriel just left them behind, or maybe they were just, she was such a bad leader that 2 of them just decided to leave.
Could never have come in here.
We leave soon enough.
The 4th quality of a great leader is humility. It means that you have the self-confidence and self-awareness to recognize the value of others without feeling threatened.
The order is given. We march at first light.
Let's not forget as well, Galadriel is the commander of the northern armies. Like, she is up there in terms of rank and everything. Like, she should be competent, but she's not. And the whole crew mutinies against her with good reason. And by the way, by those two elves that were gone, they're just back. They're just back now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Amazon can't count anything except millions. So anyway, they go into this cave and they fight these ice trolls, and they fight them in the most non-communicative way. Like, they just kind of silently stare.
What's very important in the chaos of that environment is communication. We like to think that we're like ninjas and we don't have to say a word to one another, but
Galadriel comes out and kills all of the trolls. And I was watching this and I was like, all right, a couple of things as a writer. I was like, this is already like, feels weird. Number 1, Galadriel is kind of a dick. Like, she is not a good person, which isn't necessarily bad. The protagonist's internal goal in a storytelling, context should always be that they're limited by their personal limitations. They're flawed. They're trying to become better people. As an audience, we don't see ourselves in perfect characters. We don't see humanity in perfect characters. We see them in imperfect characters. So on paper, Galadriel being a force of nature that doesn't care about others and is taken over by this revenge idea, on paper it seems fine. I think the problem is that when you're watching these scenes, when you're watching these opening scenes with Galadriel, you don't want her to succeed. If the internal goal for a protagonist is always to become heroic, this means that the protagonist should be challenged by the conflict in the plot, in the story. They should be challenged by their own personal limitations. That means being punished when they clearly are in the wrong, and the story doesn't do that. What this opening scene with Galadriel teaches us is that, yeah, she's right. She's right to be a dick. I mean, everything worked out. Nobody died. She should be a horrible captain, a horrible leader, because it works. And what annoys me the most, I think, is the fucking easy thing you could do to fix this, which is kill this guy. Or even get like a couple of the elf soldiers killed. Have her technically succeed on her mission. She finds out stuff about Sauron, but she does it in a way that gets a couple of the elves killed. So there's this price. She's flawed. It's such an obvious thing. I can't believe that they fucking missed it. We want to watch anti-heroes, yes, but we don't want to watch horrible people. Number 2, we get this dumb fight in this ice cave, and Galadriel just kills everyone easily, which also teaches us another thing, which is that Galadriel really shouldn't ever, in the show, struggle with anything. In this scene, she is tired. She's probably been on the road for a while. She's cold, and she easily kills the 2 trolls, like barely a sweat. She has to run a little bit and jump, but it's the fucking easiest thing ever. Your brain immediately goes like, all right, that means that the next time she will fight, that if it's not 3 ice trolls, everything below that should be easy pickings, right? Orcs. What's 1 orc next to 2 ice trolls? Nothing. It's so easy for her to kill them. We also get a little bit of a backstory for Galadriel in that she had a brother. She had a brother that she was close to, and we get this information in the scene that is just bizarre for elves. I'm gonna at some point cut to a podcast / video kind of review that I did on my other channel with my dear friend Max. We discussed this, and he had a great point because the other elves start like throwing rocks at the boat.
Yeah,
It feels very un-elven.
Yeah, exactly. It's just they're human kids. They just have pointy, like, it's if they hadn't been elves, like, it would have made the exact same amount of sense. Like, can you imagine like having a flashback of young Legolas and young, and with his friends, and Legolas like just builds a fucking, something to play with, and the other kids are like, hey, oh, I'm Legolas, I make toys from straw, and then they slap it out his face, and Legolas is like, no, what are you doing? Like, it's just, there's nothing elvish about it.
To the scene where Legolas is like, they're singing about a lament for Gandalf, but I don't have the words.
I don't have the words to translate.
Cut back.
Like, it's just...
You want something that's a little bit removed from us in a fantasy show. You want to go into another world, and maybe throughout the show we get to a point where there's the similarities, right? But in the beginning, I want the fantasia of it, I want to be spellbound by these creatures and by this world that's different from us. I don't want kids bullying other kids or petty boss employee little quips and rudeness between people. Like, that is not elvish or dwarven or whatever Gandalf is. That's just being human. Like, we already have that. We already live that every day. Those characters that act like that act human, should be the human characters because they are our entryway into this world. If you show elves as humans with pointy ears, then why even have elves? Why even have them? Just cut them. Cut the ears, cut the points off, and they're humans. There's no difference. What makes an elf kid elven isn't just the shape of their ears. Fuck. I'm getting actually angry.
Gandalf and Saruman probably link up.
Yo, this tune is banging!
But we have this stupid scene. This monologue that Finrod has with Galadriel it's bizarre.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot? Because the stone sees only downward. The darkness of the
water that the ship is in has a constant upward force on the ship called
ship feels
buoyant
the darkness
force.
as well, striving moment.
Archimedes' principle is that the buoyant force of a fluid.
That's the stuff that comes into your mind, and I don't think that's what the writers had in mind. I think the writers wanted to make a metaphor, which is that, hey, certain people, certain powers in the world are dark, certain people and powers in the world are light. Why do some people commit bad things? Why some don't? And the idea was to teach this young Galadriel that the darkness is always there. The darkness is always trying to pull us under. They chose to do it with like the most like weird gravitational metaphor, which doesn't really work. A better option would be just to perhaps say like, why do some ships get lost and some don't? There you go. Because a good captain, a good sailor always has the light to guide them. Even though following currents or just letting the ship go could be a temptation, they follow the light. They follow the light. Something like that. Fuck it. It's like off the top of my head. There's something else that's wrong with Galadriel, or the idea of having Galadriel as the main character, which is we know exactly where she ends up. We see Galadriel's culminating, moment happens in the Fellowship of the Ring. She resists that temptation. That's where she will end up, right? So we know that she'll be fine. She won't be corrupted at the end of it, which deflates the tension a fair bit. You can write some other stuff, but if the audience knows where they're gonna go, it's gonna be very unsatisfying. My pitch or my idea would be Galadriel has a daughter. Galadriel in the show is acting like the way I would write her daughter to be acting. Very passionate, young, maybe isn't mature, doesn't have the social skills perhaps. She's been brought up under the care of this very powerful, very famous elf called Galadriel. She maybe is trying to get from her shadow, like she's trying to make a name for herself. Perhaps she is tempted by the rings of power. Maybe she is tempted by Sauron. It also ties into Galadriel's ultimate resisting of the temptation at the end of her arc. Why didn't they go with the daughter? Everything else you can have the same. You can even have Elrond, who by the way ends up marrying Galadriel's daughter. You could have that love story there. You can even have Galadriel as a big marketing thing. Like Galadriel's in our show, Elrond's in our show, all the names that you know, they're all in our show. We don't have that. Instead we have Galadriel and that's it. And we're going with Galadriel, and Galadriel finds out some information about Sauron and how there's like dangers in the world.
He was here. Sauron was here. Tell the others to rest while they can. At sunrise we move on. Let's take the search farther north.
Further north?
This mark was left as a trail for orcs to follow.
But the elves don't care. They don't care about this one of the most famous elves. I guess Galadriel isn't. I guess Galadriel is just some elf. Although at the same time she's like the commander.
And look at you now. Commander of the Northern Armies. Warrior of the Wastelands.
So she's the commander of the Northern Armies, which seems like quite a big title. They don't seem to show her the respect that she deserves. Like, the other elves are either like mildly annoyed or outright angry at her. Which, I mean, I guess, yeah, like she's a dick, so...
Was there anything else?
Yes. Your friend has arrived.
She's here.
They don't even announce her. She's just some elf, like, she's just your friend. She's not Lady Galadriel or anything. Your friend's here. Who gives a fuck? Your friend's here, you bitch. And we have Elrond, obviously. Elrond, the son of, one second. Erendil, the son of Erendil. He is also in this show. My microphone. Nobody can hear me right now. It's horrible. They do a little bit of a thing where they're like, you're half elven.
The council regrets to inform you, you won't be permitted to attend the next session. Elf lords only.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What?
Odd. Like, number one, Elrond's dad is a literal star. Not just a star, not a famous person.
And rather than sailing the seas, it shines with a white flame as he takes to the skies. And when Morgoth unleashes his last and greatest weapon, Eärendil and the great eagles of the First Age meet them in battle. Ever after, he would sail the skies, the Silmaril upon his brow, as the star of Eärendil. Those remaining in Middle-earth in later days would call it Gil Estel, the star of high hope.
Elf lords only.
He's a literal star, and you're gonna give his kid like dismissive kind of like, you're half elven. I get that they're trying to do like a real world type thing where like if you're from a biracial family, maybe you encounter some prejudice or something. I don't know. The idea is kind of weird because it's like if your dad is like, they're a programmer, they're a developer, and your mom is like Lady Gaga, are you really gonna get a lot of like people going like, nah man, like you're half? I don't think, I think if anything, people would give that kid like preferential treatment. Elf lords only, like my dad was look up. I need another drink. I haven't even gotten past like the first second of the show. So anyway, Galadriel is fighting and trying to be a warrior. Her brother was killed by, I guess, Sauron.
But Sauron found him first. And marked his flesh with a symbol. One whose meaning even our wisest could not discern.
Sauron's bad, so like he did it. So Galadriel is angry that her brother's dead. And she thinks evil is still out there, and everybody else goes, nope. The main elven king goes, no way, dude, like no way, no.
They returned to us in
in triumph. For they have proven beyond any doubt that our days of war are over.
The next time you'll see me in this show, I will say again that there's no evil. I definitely will not have changed my mind.
The armies of darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
So they give Galadriel the greatest honor, which is you can go home, basically. You can go back to your homelands. I don't know why the king is in charge of this shit. I didn't know that was by lore. I don't think that was a thing. I think in the books, the way back to Valinor, to their elven kind of homeland, was always open to elves. Whatever, the king's in charge of it, so the king goes,
They are going home!
And everybody's like, oh my god, I can go home? That's amazing. We fucking love home. Why are you even in Middle-earth? If this is the greatest honor, do they not have jobs there? Like, why are you all here? If you can go back home and everybody's like, yes, we can go back. Yes, Valinor. Fuck yeah, I love Valinor. Like, already got my bags packed. I fucking hate Middle-earth. And I'm like, why are you even here? Why are you even in Middle-earth if you don't give a fuck? And Galadriel's like, all right, I'll go. Fuck it, whatever. I'll just do it. That is what happens. Yeah. She just, yeah.
A gift I have decided to refuse.
Galadriel,
My brother gave his life hunting Sauron. His task is now mine.
you have fought long enough, Galadriel. Put up your sword.
She goes on the boat, and then she gets to the boat, and everybody's like, yay, we love it, we're going home. They're all singing. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually like this part. I think this feels elven. This feels odd and alien, but beautiful at the same time. And it's a good moment for Galadriel. She's different. There's something else going on. She doesn't know if she wants this or not. As just a side note, I do have to mention that elven boat rides seemed like the fucking most uncomfortable thing ever. Were they just standing there for the entire length of this trip? Like, it looks horrible. And then Galadriel goes like, actually I don't want to be here. That sounds so fucking dumb. She kind of looks around for another lifeboat or something, but the elves really, as demonstrated, they really don't fucking understand buoyancy.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
Nope.
I'll just jump into the ocean and swim back. I'll just do that. Oh my gosh.
Why?
It's so dumb. She's just gonna swim back. I mean, I guess, like, she killed 2 trolls without any bother. Like, I guess elves are fucking insanely strong and powerful that they can just swim back home. She starts swimming. At the same time, we're introduced to the Harfoots as well. The Harfoots they are a bit of they are the proto-hobbits, basically, right? They're small little beings, run around, suck and fuck and drink, and they are trying to be hiding in holes, in their little hobbit holes, and they're running around and doing stuff. They're all Irish, kind of, for some weird reason. And the Harfoot protagonist, Nori, her arc in this first season is so blandly predictable that I actually forgot 3 times to introduce her or talk about her. So instead, I'm just gonna show you this this picture of a cupcake. So yeah, nice.
You went to the old farm again, didn't you?
I was careful.
But the children might not be.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. We never get hunters up here before the harvest. Wonder if there's trouble down south.
And what concern is that of yours, Eleanor Brandyfoot?
Haven't you ever wondered what else is out there? How far the river flows, or where the sparrows learn the new songs they sing in spring? Wonders in this world, beyond our wandering.
I've told you countless times.
Nope. I get that there was like racial scandals about a black elf. Why are the migrating hobbits and they're Irish? Really? Like, and they're small? They like to wear green as well, maybe? Like, it's weird, right? Like, it's weird. I don't know. Is that okay? I don't know. I'm asking questions. So anyway, they're there, and they're horrible little folk. Like, they are really... If you have a migraine, we're leaving you behind.
Precisely do you expect me to do about it?
What you ought to have done at the camp. Take their wheels and leave them.
We stay true to each other. No matter how the path winds.
Sprain your ankle. We're leaving you behind. Like, you better not break your hands because you're fucked. Like, they are ruthless, these people.
They're constantly looking over their shoulder in order to make sure that the community is safe, because that's the most important thing.
Miles Bright Apple. Stuck in the snows of the mountain pass. Lovo Baljabook. Bees. We all loved him, but he wasn't Aegis.
We wait for you. Our laws are clear. Any Harfoot that breaks them is to be decaravaned. We wait for you.
The whole idea in a community is that we help each other. What is the point of living in a village? And one by one, the neighbors come to your place, you know, and they tell you, hey, if you ever need help, we're leaving. We're fucking out. Like, nobody's helping you. Why would you be in this group of people? Why would you stay there? This is something that, like, the strong survive and, like, the weak are, like, eaten by the strong or something. It's like, it's horrible. It's something that Sauron would have in his community, right? It's not hobbits. Hobbits or Harfoots should be like nice people. They should be the ones who be like, we're always gonna stick together. We're always gonna help. But they're just horrible little people who are like, just leave everybody behind who gets hurt. And that's how we're introduced to them.
Taking a last look.
79 years I've been stationed here. Suppose I've grown accustomed to it.
And of course, I can't skirt past the black elf, Arondir, and that is a cause for scandal. I mean, oh my god, can you, in a world that's a fantasy world, if I can look past magic and little Harfoots and their like idiotic community that somehow has thrived, I can easily look past a black-skinned elf. All I care about is characters being interesting characters and the story being interesting, so it doesn't matter. So that's my fucking 2 cents on it, and everybody else who thinks it's like a horrible thing or just dummies. Ironically enough, he is the one that has this connection to the humans there. They're all guarding this one village, I guess, one village in the Southlands, and they're all guarding this village, and he has this connection with a human woman and might even have a kid with her, maybe?
Say what you wish to say.
I have said it already. 100 times over, in every way but words.
Mother, there's a man here for you.
He acts like an elf. He's the only fucking elf in the show that feels like an elf. He's a bit older than everybody. He's a bit further away from them. He knows that he's not gonna age, but these humans die. It's a weird relationship to be in, and you get that from his acting. Like, he's nice to them, but there's this vast ocean between them. I wish we had seen Arondir. Maybe at the beginning of his tour. He is excited. He's a young elf, and he's excited to meet the humans. And decades pass, and they're old now. They're middle-aged, then they're old, then they're really old, and then they're dead. But you know their kids, right? You know their son, you know their daughter. You're friends with them. You've helped them grow up. You've taught them things. The daughter becomes a hunter. Maybe Arondir taught her to be a hunter. And then she becomes elderly. Maybe she had sons and daughters as well, but are you gonna have as close of a relationship with them as you had with the past generations? They're just gonna keep dying. They're just gonna keep doing this. Then the pain might not be... Maybe you're gonna avoid it. Maybe you're gonna avoid being with them. Maybe you're gonna become more distant. Maybe you don't wanna be as alien as you are to them, but you see your other elves who have been there with you and haven't changed. There's a difference in us. We're all people, but our end point in our stories, they have one, and I don't. And that is something that can't be easily crossed. And you see that in Arondir. You see that in that elf. I wish him and Galadriel's daughter were the main characters. Those two. Maybe one who is wholly embraced her elfness and I'm better and we need strength and power. That's Galadriel's daughter. And then we have, well, the black elf, which I guess this this maybe is the Arondir elf. Trying to hold on to his humanity. Maybe he's still trying to still be friends with humans. Maybe he doesn't want to leave Middle-earth. Everybody else does. He doesn't. He cares about them. He wants to guide them or help them or do something. But we don't get that. We just get this like very basic opening idea of elfness, and it's never touched on again. Like, elves are just humans with pointy ears, and who cares? Who gives a fuck? They're just humans. Everybody's just human. It doesn't matter. So, Arondir and Bronwyn, which is the kind of his love interest, the healer in the village, they find this sword. Things are weird, and there's like a cow that's sick.
She wandered east a few days ago. Think she might have hit something. What was it? Squirted out of it.
How far east?
She might have made it as far as Horden.
Now, you would think that they would, you know, send word to somebody and be like, hey, this is like real dark shit. Like, this is the stuff that we've been on watch for.
Anything to report?
Nope.
They don't do that. They're just like, well, that's weird, but our watch has ended. Bye. So yeah, that's basically the first episode. I lost my ring, lost my jewelry. Continuity on this is gonna be a bitch. Turn this light on. How am I gonna do that? This signifies the start of the episode 2. What I'm doing now, that signifies that. So, there we go. Let's go. Second episode. We have a meteor man that has fallen. And the Harfoots discover him. The two Irish Harfoots discover this man, and they can't talk to him because he's weird.
My great thumb. My great thumb.
No, migration. Like migration. Means like to move. What we do, Harfoots. You see, we winter in Old Forest. Midsummer we make for Northfield Blem.
And ominous.
Friend. Just a friend.
Well, he's a wizard or something, right? He's a wizard. Everybody thinks that on Earth. He's probably Gandalf or something. That's what I thought. I was like, he's probably. I hope he's not Gandalf. That would be horrible. That would be horrible. If you're gonna have Gandalf and he shows up with the proto hobbits, like that is such a point. Like, what a sad, so obvious, basic choice. It's like a child level story. Like, you didn't go further. Wizard with hobbits. That would done hereby. Maybe he's Sauron, says no one except for the writers. I might like skip a lot of this stuff in the following episodes because it's gonna be the same shit. Gandalf is gonna be learning how to talk for fucking 6 episodes. But the Harfoots will still be horrible. They'll still be little dicks, and they're gonna be running around and sucking doing lots of shit. That plotline will lead to nothing, basically. Arondir and Bronwyn are still looking around. They're still looking for, like, trying to understand what the fuck went wrong. You know, like, what happened here? Like, this is weird. They discover this tunnel that's beneath this house.
Why?
And Arondir's like, I'm gonna check it out. Bye. And then Bronwyn's like, well, I could go tell the humans who are kind of dicks, you know, don't really know about this shit. It's not their job. Like, they're just villagers, right? Or I could tell the elves whose whole job is to keep watch for weird shit.
Anything to report?
So obviously Bronwyn goes to the villagers.
We must spread the word.
No, I will not have this gossip, Bronwyn. I've seen landslides less dangerous than a wayward tongue without proof. Or pudding.
We get the scene with Bronwyn and her kid Theo, and they have this orc scene.
Oh no, there's a tunnel in the house. Oh no, and there's like a 4 minutes of the orc. Oh, he's coming, and oh, I'm gonna hide in the closet, and oh, I'm gonna chase around, and then oh, the mommy comes and chops his head off. I've seen this scene 80,000 times.
Okay, I would argue it's at least something we haven't seen with the Lord of the Rings so far.
Yeah, but
like,
is it necessary? Like, it's just like, it's like, you could put that in any. New doesn't mean good.
So then we have Elrond, and Elrond is kind of, you know, doesn't have much of a story right now. He's just kind of hanging around. And then Celebrimbor comes, and Celebrimbor is like, hey.
A tower. One that can host a forge, more powerful than any ever built, able to birth a flame as hot as a dragon's tongue and as pure as starlight. The things we could use it to create could transform Middle-earth. What seems to be the difficulty? I need it completed by spring.
Why?
Elrond's like, all right, well, let's go ask the dwarves for stuff. Elrond goes to the dwarves with Celebrimbor. The show keeps doing this, where they set up like an obstacle.
You seek an audience with Prince Durin.
No.
And then ignore it, like almost immediately, like almost in the next scene. So Elrond's like, I invoke the right of Sigyn Tarag. And Elrond goes in and kicks rocks in like a weird rock battle with Durin. Loses, which means that you're exiled.
Take your leave.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't matter. Durin's just like, nah.
You're staying for dinner.
He's leaving.
He's staying.
He's leaving.
He's staying.
Nah, come on.
Whatever. You're friends.
Yeah.
It's like, why even do it?
Why?
Why bother?
What is the point of all of those scenes?
Something.
The reason why he isn't let in is because he hasn't been there for 20 years, which I thought was, hey, again, if you'd shown a little bit of that would be nice. Just like make a little bit of like between Durin and Elrond, just like Durin's getting older and stuff is happening in his life and the elves are kind of static. Nobody dies. It's a weird like static world. But Durin's world is he got married, he had a kid, and Elrond over 20 years didn't show up. It would have been nice to see that. It would have been nice to get, you know, just get any hint of that besides you just telling me TV show.
You cannot claim that which you discarded. 20 years may be the blink of an eye to an elf. But I've lived an entire life in that time. A life you missed.
We are not gonna, you know, forget about Galadriel. Galadriel is super important. So Galadriel's story in this episode is that she's swimming. She's been swimming fucking hours and hours, I guess. Like, she is just, I mean, she looks like a prune, probably. Like, she is a dried up little raisin because she's been swimming so much. But she finds a raft in the middle of the sea. She just finds a raft. It's there.
Why?
Come closer.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm not leaving her adrift.
Suppose we'll be sharing your rations with her then.
The tides of fate are flowing.
Well, if no one else will.
Yours may be heading in. Or out.
There's an old kind of storytelling idea of it's fine for kind of conveniences or happenings to put your character into trouble. It's never okay for a convenience to get your character out of trouble. The inconvenience of the volcano is really far. That's annoying. We have to go there. It's dangerous. That's the idea. That's a very basic storytelling 101, but Galadriel is now in the middle of the ocean and she just happens to find a raft. Thank Christ. Also on this on this raft, I'm gonna spoil stuff now. I mean, if you're watching this to avoid spoilers, you're doing a really shit job. One of the people on this raft that she finds just happens to be Sauron.
Why?
Sauron in a little kind of a man disguise.
Does she look dangerous to you?
Looks can be deceiving.
Calls himself Halbrand. I don't know what he was doing. Why he's on there? Like, Sauron is probably more powerful than Galadriel is, and he is on this raft with a bunch of people just hanging out, and I guess they got attacked.
Be still.
You could have left Sauron, jumped into the water, and just swam away. Like, there's... Also, why were you on a ship? What were you doing? Where were you going? What was your plan? Did you have any plans? It seems like, based on what the show was telling us, that Sauron, like, he was on a bender or something. You know what I mean? Like, he got defeated, and now he was like, fuck, you know, my life just sucks. Like, I can't score a win. I'm gonna go to Ibiza. I'm gonna go for a while. I'm just gonna get drunk, do some pills, fucking debrief, and I don't know, reconsider shit. And then, hey, oh wow, this elf is here. That worked out. Like, that's a freebie. Weird. He's just there, and he is Halbrand from the Southlands, and then he saves Galadriel from drowning. He saves her. It's odd that I don't know. I've watched the show, and I don't know if Sauron is either a mastermind of some kind, or he's a reluctant kind of enemy, or somewhere in between. Like, it's not clear in the slightest. Like, it just is a thing that exists. Like, he's just a guy. Like, really, he's just a guy that happens to be Sauron. I think I need to stop.
Let's go! It's about to get lit like Mordor.
Going down to Hobbiton.